This week, we're talking about how to come alive. And when I say come alive, I mean how to reinvigorate your life with adventure. What makes you come alive? For some of us, it's photography. For some of us, it's going out to games. It may be getting together with friends. How are you intentionally making time to do those things that make you feel alive? Are you making time to do those things that actually get your heart pumping and fill you with passion? Do you even know what that is at this point in your life? Well, our guest today definitely does. Ty is the founder of Adventurous Ty, which is a community that takes extreme adventures. And we're going to talk about extreme adventures and what that is today. It was founded and inspired by Ty Vaughn, who had a brilliant idea to share her love for adventure with others. The groups she always hung out with never really considered the lifestyle of extreme adventures. And it was on rare occasions that she would go out and actually see people doing these adventures who looked like her. So this paved the way for a community to be established to share her passion with others for the outdoors. Now, Adventurous Ty roots, they've grown, and she now has three partners that all share the same love and passion for adventure. They're Black women who are on an adventure, and they're paving the way for new adventurers to take risks and to just go for it. So Ty, along with her three partners, Michaela Davis, Jerusha Day, and Ashley Hobson, they now produce these events that brings in over 200 people, right? And their events are held monthly, and they're always welcoming new people. And by the end of it, we will tell you how to connect with her group, and how to join them, because one of the main things they do is help people overcome their fears with this adventure. So I love Ty. I've known her forever, and I'm so glad to bring her on. Welcome, Ty Vaughn. Come on in, Ty. Hey, Ty.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, let me tell y'all, just to be transparent, this is like a new adventure. Recording this today.
Right.
I'm actually doing something new. You all may not know this, but this is pre-recorded. And in order to do this, you have your hiccups and this and that. But Ty has been with me every step of the way. So thank you, Ty. But this is what it means to have new adventures, right? Like things don't always go perfect.
They don't.
And it's always good to surround yourself with folks who can kind of go through the bumps and the bruises with you.
Right.
When I think about Ty, I've actually known Ty for more than 20 years.
More than 20 years, yes.
When I think about you, I think about us sitting in my dining room table in LA,
Right.
me helping you
with the wedding.
Fill out your wedding invitations.
You know what? That's exactly what I was thinking about. I'm like, you know what? I remember across the street from the church, I was like, we're sitting there licking envelopes, stuffing envelopes. You know, I'm like, okay, this girl is, look, she's got to really like me to sit here for hours stuffing 300 envelopes.
And how long have you been married now?
April will be 21 years.
See,
so it was worth stuffing all those envelopes, girl. You invested. You invested in my life and it worked out.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we go way, way back. And I'm just so grateful to have you on the show. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
So I want my first question with you to be what it typically is. How To's with Tifani is basically an avenue that leads to a larger work that I do. And the overall goal of that work is to encourage people to see God outside of the four walls of the church. Mm-hmm. It's to help people understand that God is all around us, constantly speaking to us if we will listen. And so my question to you is, where have you seen God lately?
So that is a very good question, because I have been everywhere lately, and so has he. So I think that I have seen God literally in places that I just haven't seen him before. And that's because I have limited myself. I didn't know it. Into just being, in one element, just being in the city, doing our day-to-day life, right? Just running around, picking up kids, dropping off kids, going to work, going to church, come home. It's just like this regular routine that you find yourself kind of stifled in, right? And so when I started doing these adventures, it really allowed me to see God on a whole new platform, different places, different spaces, right? And so I see him now much bigger than I did, or I should say than I do in church. I'm still in church, still go to church, but he's so far grander than that, right?
Yeah.
So I see him on treetops. I see him in mountains, in valleys. I see him in the beauty of his landscapes, the colors, the pristine beauty that he has created. So to go to praising God in a building, then worshiping him in his elements, completely different experience, completely different experience. So for me, I see him in a bigger space than I ever have. And being outdoors in nature is a renewing of the mind. I get it. That's where, being renewed, being rejuvenated, being more appreciative to who he truly is, when you can actually make that physical connection to him in a space that he is. He always was there. We just weren't there. And now I'm there.
That's awesome. That's just beautiful. They say that God is the master artist and the master creator.
Correct.
And so often we kind of relegate him and limit him to this space when, like you said, he's in that space, but he's out here too.
Right.
And so, that's amazing and just so beautifully articulated. So thank you. I really want to get into your story. I want to get into what you do, but I want to start with a question about, like, what does it mean to be alive? Someone once said, I don't believe people are looking for the meaning of life as much as they are looking for the experience of being alive. So for you, what does it mean to be alive?
For me, to be alive means to desire and to accept new experiences. Because I think that we are very programmed to do certain things every day, right? We have routines, we have schedules, everything is just pretty much clockwise.
Yeah.
But I think that come alive means that I have decided that I want something new in my life. I want to see new things. I want to go new places, meet new people, and have a completely different outlook on life. But that's a mental thing, right? It has to come from the mind. You have to decide, this is what I no longer want, and this is what I do want. And then once you decide what you want, you need to go after it. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need someone to invite you to do that, or you need something to inspire you to do that. It's not easy, transitioning and changing when you're used to doing something for 30 years and now you need to come out of that to do something new. Because like when your routines in life are great because it kind of keeps you on track. But after a while, you realize I'm not really living my best life because I am just so used to doing X, Y, and Z every day to kind of maintain. Well, you kind of got to step it up to be a little bit more radical, to do something different that makes you happy, because happiness is a choice. You have to choose happiness, right? And so I think coming alive, being happy, having a different mindset, all of that is a renewed individual. And you have to want that. And you've got to go seek it. It's not going to come after you. You got to go after it. So once you decide, I want something new in my life, I don't want to do the same thing every day. I think now you're taking a different approach to life, and you're taking your life by your hands, right? You're saying, I'm going to make something new happen. I want some. And sometimes it does take, a friend or a family member or a show or something to inspire you to get up and to say, okay, this situation here is not going to work anymore. I cannot continue what I'm doing because this is not healthy, and I'm not seeing any new results. Right? I'm just doing the same thing every single day. So for me, coming alive means say, you know what, I'm gonna turn the TV off. I'm going to turn my regular, exciting life off and find something new to do. And so, for me, it's all about it's making new connections. And so I love the life that I have. I didn't always have this life. It was not always this way. I was just this, city girl doing the regular, but now I'm on a whole nother level not because, I'm on a new level because of what I've chosen to do, what I've
So
chosen
let's talk
to do.
about that. Let's talk about that.
Let's
How
talk
do you
about
no, so
that.
you participate in extreme activities, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
want you to define that. Like, what are extreme activities? What are extreme adventures?
So extreme adventures for me
Yeah.
are the things that I do. So every month I choose a different activity for Adventurous Ty, right?
Uh-huh.
So Adventurous Ty, like what you read in the bio, we are 4 women that get together every month and we do extreme sports, right? So zip lining, skydiving, bungee jumping, ATV riding, paragliding, parasailing, anything that has to do with a harness and a hard hat, I'm all for it. Okay. I am like safety geared up from head to toe. Let's go, right? So all of our adventures are, I have one girlfriend, she is actually the administrator of a group called Black Girls Hike. And so I always say, look, you do the on the ground adventures. I do, feet off the ground adventures, right? So if you want to be off the ground, come with me. You want to walk around the canyons and seek the different mountain adventures, go with her. So I think that, what I started to do with this group. So originally it was just me. All of this just started with me ziplining as a hobby, right? So I enjoy ziplining as a hobby. I would just do it on my own. I would just get on a plane. I'd fly to New Mexico, fly to Grand Canyon, zipline over, went to New York, just doing my thing. And then a friend of mine said, hey, why don't you invite do a post on social media and see what happens and see if we can get some people that look like us go ziplining. Right. So I said, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm not really sure why I want to do that because that's interrupting my personal life. Like this is my space. This is something that I've found it and I really enjoy doing this on my own. And I said, okay, I'll take a chance. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's no big deal. It's just a post. We ran the post in 2019 in June. We filled the first zip line. We did it again in July, filled the second zip line, and we continued on. We did 10 zip lines for 10 months straight, the same exact company, and it filled. And the majority of the people did look like us. It is a diverse group. Let me just say that. It is a diverse group, but the majority of the people looks like us. And so I said, this is interesting. We're onto something here, right? Yeah. And so we continued doing what we were doing. The group continued to grow. And we decided to add more things to it. Like we're adventurous, but we're just ziplining. How about we add some extra thrills and more adrenaline pumping, adventures to it. And that's when we included the skydiving and the bungee jumping. And people were just excited. A lot of people had never heard of the things that we're doing. They didn't know where to find it. They didn't have people that wanted to do it with them. They didn't have family members. And they're like, we are so excited to be able to do this. We didn't have anyone to do this with. We're on it. I want to do this. And what I found, Tifani, is that people were not signing up to do these activities just because of the activity. They were signing up to do these activities because it was life-changing for them. It was more than inspiring. It was therapeutic. And as the years have rolled by, it transformed from therapeutic to necessity. Yeah. Because during the pandemic, so many people lost so many family members. People were going through transitions, changes, and the activities and the adventures became more of, I needed the camaraderie. I needed the security.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a place where I was living my life. I want to know that other people out there feel what I feel. So
Yeah.
now we've made this family. So now we got this adventurous type family. And we do these activities. And yes, they're extreme. And yes, they're risky. Yes, they're exciting. But people are finding that they're making new family connections,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so I think
That's
it's, I
amazing.
love it. I mean, I
Yeah.
love what we do.
I mean, because at the end of the day, I can see how it builds community because you're basically going through these extremely risky situations with someone else who is just as passionate as you are about them. So it's going to develop some sort of bond, you
Right.
know?
Right.
What is the riskiest thing that you've ever done?
I think the riskiest thing people could, kind of weigh it. It's either the skydiving or it's the bungee jump, right? And I guess the bungee jump, because the bungee jump is it's 100% commitment type of a jump, right? And it's just you. There's no tandem, there's no one holding you. It's just 100% you, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why I like that particular risk is because it's a metaphor for life. And
Mhm.
so when you stand on the edge and you have to make a decision, and that decision is life altering, sometimes there is a risk that comes to that, right?
Mhm.
So if I decide I am going to take this 100% commitment and I'm going to jump off of this cliff, and
Yeah.
whatever happens, I'm okay with that. I've signed off on it.
Right.
I'm comfortable with it. I have decided that I am going to go with it, and whatever happens, it just is what it is, right? And so once you make that jump, either one or two things are going to happen. One, you're going to have the time of your life and you will have something to share once you come back up.
Right.
Or two, well,
Well, see, but I think that is the
you sign the waiver.
That's what scares most people, and so
But,
it makes
but
me wonder though, how do you calculate risk?
right.
Because
So,
these are risky situations, like extremely.
yeah, no, they are. They are. But I think in life, you choose the risk that you want to take, right? You choose the risk of going to school, getting married, starting a business, right?
Uh-huh.
Having a child, buying a home. These are all risk factors that you sign off on every day. We're comfortable with this because this is something that we do all the time. It seems like it's normal. It's no big deal. It's a life risk. It's
Right.
easy, right? And
Uh-huh.
so, but there are consequences that can come greatly to you signing off on a home that you can't afford. Having a child, you risking your life being pregnant and giving birth. You're risking your life when you get in your car and drive somewhere. You're risking your life, So those are the common risks that we take because we don't think about it, right? But the risks that I take bring me great pleasure and I'm passionate about it, right? But it's fun. For me, it's seeing God in a different place. So when I'm ziplining, when we are paragliding, when we are skydiving or hang gliding, all of that is absolute beauty to me. So when I jump out of that airplane, I'm not jumping. Yes, it's scary. I'm not going to say I'm not scared. Absolutely.
Right.
But I'm stronger than my fears. So I tell my mind and my body what it will do, right? I'm in control of that. So if I'm getting ready to jump out of an airplane, I understand what the risks are. The risks are this parachute and the guy behind me, the parachute may not deploy. It may not come out. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to take that chance because at the end of the day, when it does deploy and when it does come out, I am going to have a 360-degree angle of all of the beauty that wherever I am, whatever this city is that I'm hoovering over, it is absolutely something that you can't script it. You can't put it on TV. You can't really describe it because it's something that you don't see every day. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
how many times do you jump out of a plane at 14,000 feet and get a chance to see 14,000 feet above it's just unheard of. So
Yeah.
peaceful up there. It's surreal. I am just surrounded by awe. God is just amazing at what he does,
Right.
and what he has created. And we don't see him on that level. And I
Mhm.
do. And so for me, it's really encouraging people to come out of their comfort zone, to
Yeah.
embrace discomfort, right? To embrace it, to try it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I think that once you decide, okay, I can do something a little edgy, a little more risky,
Yeah.
but get that feeling that something that's different that you've never experienced before. I don't think you can't it's an experience that's unlike, it's not like going on vacation.
Right.
It's not like that, right? It's something that you just say, I own this, I'm enjoying this, it's life-changing, I'm
Mhm.
making new friends, I'm seeing things differently. You look at the optimistic viewpoint of what we do.
Yeah.
And people they're enjoying it, they're having fun, and the fear factor, it's only because of um, what you've put there. One of
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned about what I do is understanding the definition of fear.
Mhm.
The
Well,
definition.
because we're going to talk about fear.
Oh,
But you
okay.
said something that brings me to another question that I have, specifically for, you know, well, pointed to people in the Black community. I think a lot of reasons why, you didn't see a lot of people that looks like you doing these activities is because often what I've heard is that Black people don't do that stuff, right? When you think about extreme activities, when you think about bungee jumping, jumping out of a plane and jumping off a bridge. And it could be because I grew up in, small town Longview, Texas, where there were kind of clearly defined boundaries of Blackness and what it meant to have a Black experience and what it meant to have an experience of a different race or different culture. It was often, well, Black people don't do that. That's what, white people do. That's what people of other races do.
Mhm.
Um, and so, how did you get past that stereotype?
To be honest with you, Tiffany, I didn't see color. I just saw something that I wanted to do, you know.
So, did you hear that
But
growing up, or did you not really hear that
mm-mm.
growing
I didn't hear it growing up
up? Okay.
because I just tapped into this at the age of 40. So prior to that, the conversation never took place because it was something that I didn't do it. It wasn't, it wasn't a part of
It was
my
not addressed
lifestyle.
at all.
None of my
Mhm.
friends did it. So it wasn't even a conversation for 40 years. It just wasn't a conversation. It was something you saw on TV, something you
Right.
heard about, your other counterparts did it. And it just wasn't like, oh, you should do this, but maybe you shouldn't do this because you're Black. It was never that type of situation for me. So I'm just being honest with you. But
Mhm.
since I've started and now that I do this, I have heard a few comments mentioned, particularly the bungee, because
Right.
a lot of people relate the cord to lynching, right? And
Definitely.
so I don't see that. I never saw an outdoor activity that
Yeah.
millions of people have done over the years. A lot of us didn't do it, but
Yeah.
millions of people have bungee jumped. As a matter of fact, the bridge that I've jumped off of twice, there have been 150,000 jumps off of that same bridge over the
Mm.
past 25 years, and no one has ever gotten hurt. Not one person.
Right.
So I think that we do have these certain fears of what we should and should not do because people have taken their fears and
Yeah.
put them on top of us and say, this is what you should be afraid. You should not do this. And so
Right.
because those boundaries are not respected,
Mhm.
because those fears have been now deposited in our spirits, we have said, I'm not doing that. I
Yeah.
shouldn't do that. That makes no sense. Why would I jump off of a bridge? I'm not going to kill myself. No,
Right.
you're not. But what you're doing is you're taking what somebody has told you, making that your reality, and now
Yeah.
you've limited yourself from actually enjoying something that probably you have no idea how that's going to make you feel. And again, I relate the majority of what we do as a metaphor for life. If you
Yeah.
can take a jump, and the thing is, the truth of the matter is,
Mm-hmm.
all of these activities in California or in the states, period, are completely regulated. Can
Uh-huh.
something happen? Absolutely. But because you do your research, like you should do anything that you do, if you're going on vacation, where you should do your research before you leave home to make sure that what you're doing doesn't have any, bad reviews or people have gotten hurt or injured or whatever. But I am willing to do certain things because of how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Because of the adrenaline. I love that rush. I love the heart palpitating. I love the thrill. I love the excitement. And then once I've done it, I'm screaming and hollering. I'm bouncing like a rag doll, all over
Yeah.
the place. But it's fun. And it's like, yes, it's like being in an Olympics, right? When you're in the Olympics, you see all these athletes doing, extreme. They've been practicing and but anything can still happen when you're running or bobsledding or swimming or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to do this. This is life, and I'm okay with what could possibly happen. I have decided that I've got good insurance. I will not leave my family destitute. And I'm good with it. I'm good with it. And it's
well, I mean, but I know that you've mentioned this a couple of times, and it is a metaphor for life, right? Because even if you're doing something and it's something new, it may not be as extreme. But once you do it, you start off in fear, which we're about to talk about next. You start off being afraid. You start off not really knowing what's about to happen, right? You start off saying, okay, I'm going to take this risk. But once you actually do it and you accomplish it, you complete it, it's like the same kind of feeling of accomplishment. I did this through my heart palpitating, right? Which, leads me to another idea, which is that often we run away from anything that's going to make our heart beat fast, right? Anything that makes us kind of go into what feels like fight or flight mode, we try to avoid. But often the exhilaration is on getting through that, is on actually accomplishing that. But there is real fear that we have to overcome. And so I do want to talk about fear. How do you define fear? I know you were about to define it. I want to hear the definition. How do you, Adventures Ty, define fear?
So fear actually stands for false evidence appearing real. Okay. That's what fear stands for. And so I think that there's unhealthy fear and there's unhealthy fear, right? So healthy fear is if somebody's breaking into your house and you hear them downstairs or whatever. I am scared. I don't care what I am scared. I love Jesus. I know he's real, but I'm terrified. There's somebody in my house trying to hurt my family. I am scared and I need to figure out how to defend myself. Period. Right. That's an unknown. That is an immediate, like heart palpitating, but scared fear.
Right.
And then there's healthy fear. And the healthy fear is the fear that you choose. Again. But fear, when you were 3 years old, some parents, would talk to their children and saying, oh, the boogeyman's going to come and get you if you don't, eat your dinner, oh, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. Oh, don't walk down those stairs because you may fall and hurt yourself. Don't ride your bike too fast because if you fall, you could break your leg. So if you turned it around and said, I need you to eat all of your dinner, because eating your dinner is healthy for you. Having, nutritional food, you need to have it in your body. If you walk down the stairs, just be careful. If you're on your bike, just be aware, where you're going. Don't attach the downfall or what you think could happen to that child, because now you have imputed in their spirit, if I do this, that's going to happen. If I don't do that, then that's going to happen. So you've already deposited that spirit in them at 3 years old. The boogeyman's going to come if you don't do what I tell you to do. Right. That's not okay. Right. So then as you become an adult, those fears transfer to something greater. right?
Right.
Oh, I cannot go to nursing school. I don't have the time to do that. I'm not smart enough to do that. Oh, I am not going to go start a new business because it's just too complicated. It's too this, it's too that. I'm scared I may not get the loan I need, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. So these are fears that are put inside of you from a young age. Now you're grown, and now
Right.
you have limited 30 years of your life because of something that someone else put on you, and you don't know how to get it off. You don't know how to detox. You don't know how to separate, what didn't even happen. So
Right.
now I want to do something completely different, but my boundaries say I should not do that because
Yeah.
someone in my life, some adult has already put in my spirit that that is not okay. Well, I'm here to tell you that the fears that you have, not that they're not real, you have the power to change that. When I am bungee jumping or when I'm zip lining, do I stand there and I think about it? I have to process, why am I doing this? How is this going to end up for me? What is this going to be like? How much fun am I going to enjoy? I don't take the fear factor and ponder on that. I take the optimistic approach and say, this is going to be a wonderful experience. I am going to zip line. I'm going to smile, and saliva is going to go to the left and saliva is going to go to the right. And I'm going to spin around and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to see things and I'm going to enjoy the wind. I'm going to make the experience be what I want it to be. Right. At the end of the day, I will live to tell the story, and I'll do it again and I'll do it again and I'll do it again. And so I think that because we process what other people say, that becomes our mantra. That becomes how we live based on what I don't really care how you feel about what I do. I just need to know that at the end of the day, will it change my life? Will I have a new perspective? Will I will I be able to embrace something new that I've never had before? I want to try this. I just don't know how it's going to feel. And that's the beauty of adventure. It's the unknown. It's not planned. It's not scripted. You put on your harness, you put on your hat, you get the instructions, you got all your safety gear on, and you just go for it. And whatever that is, whatever that's that beginning and whatever the end is, I'm okay with it. You have to be okay with it. But don't allow what other people have experienced or even what they haven't experienced to determine what you should and should not do. Because most of the time, we're all going to fall. We're all going to have grabbed up knees. We're all going to, face failure and face disappointment. That's a part of life, but it doesn't stop you. It doesn't control you. It shouldn't control you. You should control it. So I'll tell you the truth. When I did this last skydiving, we did it in November. I didn't tell my crew, I didn't tell the group, I didn't tell any of the other participants how I was feeling. I was scared out of my mind. And because I told them I was not going to skydive again. I was like, I've done it twice. I don't need to do it 3 times. I don't need to prove this to anybody. But when it was my turn to jump, I was like, God, I really need you. Because I thought I was going to pass out. And this is the first time me telling this live. I've never even had this conversation with anybody. So, Tifani, enjoy this conversation. But I was terrified. But at the end of the day, I wasn't going to stop. I was ready to take the leap. I was really ready to do my free fall. I kind of knew what to expect because I had already done it, but I was willing to make that experience a third. I said, God, I need you to be with me because I'm feeling a certain kind of way and I can't control it, but I'm not going to stop. I was already there. I was already at the edge. My feet were already dangling. I'm 13,000 feet up. I'm ready to take this leap. But then sometimes there's, the unknown, it's almost like the enemy talking to you saying, you can't do this. Don't do this. I'm going to, you're going to pass out. You're going to, no, I'm not. I am not. I'm going to do what I'm going to have fun. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to exhale. I'm going to look around and I'm going to enjoy this. So you have to tell yourself the experience that you want to have. And then it completely frees you. It frees your mind. It frees your spirit. It gives you a new perspective. You're like, I got this. I can do this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This is a somewhat Christian show here. I can do all things that, through Christ who strengthens me. So I'm not going to tell myself what I cannot do. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm going 100% in. I'm 100% in.
And it sounds like, so one thing that I got out of that was the need to enjoy the process of whatever it is that you're going through,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so you start off, you're afraid, but instead of thinking about what could happen and the results, pay attention to the process and really get into it and, be present for it and feel it. I remember being pregnant, and me just by the end of it, you just ready to have a baby. You're like, you know what? I'm just ready for this baby to come out and to be, out of my body. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone would say, enjoy your pregnancy as much as you can,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you start off with, you go through it, and when it's over,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Something else that I thought about is your just fear, right? We're talking about fear. Once you shared with me, right? Because I want to know what your relationship with fear is. It's
Okay.
something that a lot of us run away from. A lot of us see fear as the enemy, but I want to know your relationship, right? Once you shared with me on IG a post of a couple that was dropping like 50, 100 feet straight down into the ravine, and you were like, ah. And I was like, my heart is literally in my throat, right?
Right.
And you
Right.
said yours was too, but that you like the taste of fear.
I
Like
do.
you just said, you like the palpitations. You
I do.
like all of this. Most people want to avoid it. You like it. What is your relationship with it? And how did you develop that relationship with it?
So I guess it would go back to my very first adventure. Okay.
Mm,
My favorite show that I watch faithfully and have watched probably almost every episode is The Amazing Race. Okay.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
where all this started. To be honest, this is exactly where I started, was watching that show. And they were somewhere in the world ziplining. And
Ah,
I was turning 40. And my husband said, "What do you want to do for your 40th birthday?" And
yeah.
I said, "I think I want a zip line." And
Uh-huh.
so he's like, "Well, where's the zip line?" I'm like, "I have no idea. Let's Google it."
Uh-huh.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So we Googled the zip line, and there was one in Catalina Island. And I was like, "Let's go there." He goes, "Great. Let's book it. Let's go and let's see what this is all about." Because neither one of us had ever heard of it, done it, nothing, right? So brand new to this whole, cable, swinging thing.
Yeah.
And so we get over there, and I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
scared, but I'm willing. Like I'm like, I want to do it. I don't want to do it. I've got these mixed emotions because it was new, and I just didn't know what this was going to feel like, right? So it's the unknown. It's stepping into the
Right.
unknown, and you can't control it. That's
Right.
the thing that was magical. Was I said, once I let go, once I'm holding on to these, to the braking, the trolley, or called the braking system, and
Yeah.
once my body is released from this platform, I am no longer in control.
Right.
How is that going to feel? And
Yeah.
so it was my turn to go. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know. I was like, but this looks,
Uh-huh.
I was so excited to do it that whatever was in me that wanted to do it was greater than the fear of not doing it. Right.
Yeah.
So once I took off that first leap and started to zip line across that cable,
Mhm.
I just was laughing and crying and looking at the ocean and looking at the mountains. And I'm like, God, this is
Yeah.
ridiculously awesome, right? It was
Yeah.
like the most radical thing I had ever done. And I
Mm.
knew at that point, there were 5 lines on this particular course, right? The first line, I was like, I'm in it. I didn't know. It's like I was transformed. Like my body, my mind, it all
Mhm.
just came to a whole new, um, uh, like I was just different. I was just a different
Yeah.
person. And I'm jumping up and down. And I'm like, yes, my husband's like, okay, that was fun, but like we gotta do this 4 more times. I'm like, yeah, come on. I'm like a zip line marathon now, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I knew at that point that fear it was something that was just not real. Like I was
Mm.
like, what am I afraid of? Like there's nothing to fear here. Like I'm safe, I'm having fun. I've missed out 40 years of doing this. I wish I would have known this existed in my
Yeah.
20s. So the question that you're asking me is, how do you embrace fear?
Mhm.
You head it, head on? And I'm like, I don't entertain it. I don't process it. I don't think about it, because if I stand there, I'll tell you what happened when I was the first bungee jump we did. So when you bungee jump, they put you into these categories by weight. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're in these three categories: light, medium, heavy. So I was on the light. There was
Mhm.
about 6 people in front of me, ahead of me, right? So I already
Mhm.
have my head gear on. I've got my safety gear on. I've got my GoPro on. And so I'm just waiting. So there's 6 jumpers ahead of me. And I realized that at that moment, fear was taking place. It was fear. It was anxiety.
Yeah.
My head, I was getting dizzy. I couldn't think straight, because I think it was standing there so long that your
Mhm.
mind starts to trip, because you start processing, why are you doing this? This makes no sense. You got to jump off of a bridge. You're watching these people go. This, don't do this. You're going to be scared. This is going to happen to you. All of a sudden, you start having this conversation in your head,
Yeah.
and you have to turn it off, because you decided when you woke up that morning that this is what you were going to do. Now
Mhm.
that you're getting ready to face that moment of truth, you have to tell yourself, you have to talk to yourself and say, I'm going to do this because I am no longer going to be afraid to do anything in my life. I'm going
Mhm.
to take this moment and say, God, if you allow me to do this and come up
Yeah.
out of this, I know I am not defeated. I know I
Right.
can do all things. I know I can continue and be successful in my life. I can encourage other people. This can
Mhm.
be an inspiration for other people. I'm almost
Yeah.
50 years old doing this for the first time. I got this, Lord. If you're with me, you're more than the world against me. Like all
Yeah.
these scriptures.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You become so you have to be your empowerment.
Exactly.
You
That's
can't
what I
look
mean.
for someone else to validate what you do, why you do. You have to become all of that in one. So
Yeah.
it was my turn to jump, and you're literally on a 2 foot little plank, just big enough
Right.
for 2 feet to fit on, and
Yeah.
then you have to follow the instructions. Metaphor for life. The
Yeah.
guides are telling you, they said, look, as you stand here, look at that mountain. You see that
Mhm.
spot right there? Because they put like a little flag there. It's far, far from you. Focus on that. Once you see that, tell your body to turn this way and then jump. So they're giving you instructions. So it's life. In life, their instructions: look this way, go
Yeah.
here. You have a red light to tell you to stop, a yellow light to tell you to yield, a green light says go. If you don't
Mhm.
follow the instructions, you will hurt yourself. And that's
Right.
what he was telling me. He was saying, if you
Mhm.
don't do it the way if you don't jump the way we're telling you to jump, you can actually hurt yourself. I said,
Yeah.
okay, I got this. I can do this, right? And so once I jumped, I let out a big scream and all kind of stuff. But I was so proud of myself, Tifani. I
Yeah.
was so proud that I did not allow myself to deny this moment. I
Right.
didn't allow my mind to consume me with all this negative stuff to clam me up to say no. I released it, let it go, and I jumped, and I was free as a bird. I was so
Yeah.
excited that I did that. And I'm jumping and bouncing. I mean, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's all of that. But the
Come on.
scary part is a healthy scary, because you're jumping. So you've got your heart is moving, your energy,
Yeah.
your blood, all these things, all these emotions are happening. But you're
Mhm.
like, yes, it's like graduation day, right? You're like,
Mhm.
8 years of medical school. I
Right.
finally have
Right.
a degree, right? So
But
I
it,
was
it sounds like part of your preparation, though, for risky moments and for moments that bring fear is filling yourself up with positivity,
you
is
have to.
filling your mind with things that are true, things that are honest, things that are lovely, things that the
Yes.
word tells us to think on.
Yes.
Because in time of fear, it sounds to me like you pull from those scriptures and you pull from those thoughts and those things that you, prior to being in that situation, already deposited in yourself.
Yes.
If it wasn't deposited in you, if you didn't choose for it to be deposited in you, if you didn't read, if you didn't study, if you didn't
Right.
know these things, then it would be nothing to draw on when you are in those situations of trials and tribulations and challenges and
Absolutely.
things that
Absolutely.
bring upon fear. And so another lesson is, don't wait to get in these situations that we are inevitably going to get into. Don't
Right.
wait until you're afraid to start preparing yourself, but prepare yourself now by paying attention to what you listen to, paying
Yes.
attention to who you listen to, paying
Yes.
attention to what you imbibe, what you read, what you watch. Because
Right.
if you're filling yourself with things that, will, that are fearful, then that's what's going to come out are these negative thoughts when you're in these situations. But
Right.
if you're surrounding yourself with a community that's positive and with the word of God and with things that bring strength and courage, that's what's going to come out when you're
Yes.
in these situations.
Right. Now remember, God is omniscient and God is omnipresent, right?
Hmm.
So if he's everywhere at the same time, he's there with me on these edges. He's there
Right.
with me as I do all of these adventures. So for me, it's a complete spiritual encounter.
Yeah.
It's 100%. So like
Hmm.
you said, I have already prepared my spirit for the moment before I even
Hmm.
got there. But
Right.
it doesn't mean that you won't be tempted to say no once you face the situation. You will
Right.
be tempted to say no,
Hmm.
but you have to decide, I am going to go beyond that because I am not going to limit myself on an emotion. I am not
Right.
going to let an emotion, a negative emotion, control me. I choose to allow a positive emotion to control me.
Hmm.
I choose to allow the best thoughts to come into my head.
Right.
I choose to take scripture that's going to lead me and guide me and to give me that peace of mind before I do what I choose to do. Um,
Yeah.
I choose to also listen to my body. We did the bungee jump last year, and I took 35 people to the bridge to nowhere. Let me tell you what happened.
Hmm.
And I was the first one to jump in the group. So I had all of these people watching me jump, right? Plus
Right.
all the other participants of other groups that were there. It was at least
Uh-huh.
probably about 150 people on that bridge.
Right.
And so they're all cheering me on, like 1, 2, 3. I stood there because I'm in
Mhm.
control of my body. It was
Mhm.
not time for me to jump. I
Yeah.
could not. I had my crew in place. We had photography, videography. We had microphones. I mean, not microphones. We had walkie talkies, and they're like, "Okay, Ty's aborting the mission. Stop, freeze, stop. She's not jumping." I stood there, and my body told me, "Don't jump."
Mhm.
And so everyone's like cheering me, but I'm not listening to the outside voices because they don't control what I do. I
Mhm.
control what I do. I looked back at the guide and I said, I can't do it. And he
Yeah.
said, do you not want to do this at all? Or you can't do this right now? I said, I can't do
Mhm.
this right. I said, my body is, he goes, I applaud you for listening to your body and not to the
Yeah.
people. So I
Mhm.
came back on the other side of the bridge. And one of the guys told me, he goes, I do these jumps every day, Ty, every day. He said,
Yeah.
I was here last week. And he said, I did the exact same thing you did. He goes, I stood there and my body said, don't do it. He goes, and
Mhm.
when your body tells you not to do something, it's not fear. It's not fear that's controlling you. It's the fact that it is not the time because you can hurt yourself doing
Yeah.
something somebody else tells you to do.
Right.
And so I said, okay. He says, I did the same thing. I had to wait a couple of hours. And then when my body was ready to release and let go, it was one of the most spectacular jumps I had ever had. And so
Right.
for me, I did the exact same thing. I wasn't the first one to jump. I was more like the last one to jump. But when I
Mhm.
was ready, I was ready. And I did it. And it
Right.
was a free jump and it was enjoyable. So fear and it's just something that we have decided, either that works for you to always be afraid and that's
Mhm.
just your lifestyle. That doesn't work for me. Because if
Right.
I see something in front of me and I want to do it or I want it, then I'm going to push back all the negative forces, all the negative opinions, all the thoughts, none of that is going to be a part of my life. I don't care
Right.
about what you think. I know that this is something that is going to benefit me. Not only that, but everyone who's watching me is encouraged.
No,
They're
and I hear that. I agree. Um I think that you're right that you cannot let fear control you. But what really stands out to me about what you said and the way that you act is that, we look at you and you're like, I'm fearless. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Let's do it. You do it. But I think your story about listening to your body and really listening to, I would say, even your intuition, that
Mhm.
I feel really God speaks to us often
Yes.
through our
Mhm.
intuition. God speaks to us through our minds, and that it's not even about doing everything that we feel like we should be doing when we
Right.
feel like we should do it. It's
Mhm.
about really understanding what God has for you to do at this time. And if God says, you know what, it's not about fear, but it is about me not wanting you to do this right now. It is
Mhm.
about this not being your time to do it.
Mhm.
Also being okay with that. So
Mhm.
not always putting yourself in a position where you have to go, 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 go,
Mhm.
but putting yourself in a position to do whatever it is that God has for you to do or not to do, and
Mhm.
being okay with that.
Mhm.
And so I think that part of the story is just phenomenal as well, because, yes, you're adventurous, but you know how to listen to your body as well.
You have to use wisdom.
About going. Yeah,
You have to use wisdom. You have to use wisdom and discretion because
right.
everything is not for you at that moment. Sometimes it's not that you shouldn't do it, it's just a delay.
And
Let's
nobody
do
can
it
tell
later.
you. That's the
Mm-mm.
thing. Like, nobody can
Mhm.
tell you what is for you to do and what is for you not to do at any
Right.
particular time. That's something that you have to be in tune with yourself.
Correct. Correct.
Um, one more, actually, a couple more questions. And this is for people who specifically want to do something, want to get into adventure, but they feel like they're in the hamster wheel of life. They feel
Mhm.
like they are just going and doing the same thing every day, kind of like Groundhog Day. Someone once said, don't live the same year 75 times and call it life,
Right.
right? But sometimes it's just hard to get out of that hamster wheel. So, what would you tell someone if they feel like they're living the same day over and over again, but they're ready to get out?
Um, well, number one, you have to research. If
Mm,
you want to get out of the mundane routine of life, you're going to have to do things differently.
right.
You have to come out of the mindset. You've got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to come out of that funk that you're in.
Hmm.
And so, i.e. would be, joining a Facebook group that does different things,
Hmm.
being a part of a community, getting out there, trying something with a group that you've never met before. That's okay. You've
Yeah.
got to be okay with the radical. You've got to try something new. You've got to have new experiences. You have to decide, because no one's going to come to your home and knock on the door and say, come on out, Shelly. Come on
Yeah.
out, Bernadette. Come with me, Susie. No one's going to do that. So
Right.
you have to decide, just go to your computer and look up, I want to do this. I think this might be interesting. I might want to try that. There are
Right.
lots of people that think like you, that want to do what you do. And there are groups that are already prepared that are doing those things. And you're going
Yeah.
to have to get up, get in your car, drive to the location, and try something new.
Right.
We do these things every single month, these adventures. So we welcome everyone to come. all of what we do is not for everybody. That's
Mhm.
why there's, different adventures that we do, because there's different things that people are interested in. You
Yeah.
have to find what if you want to, bike ride, if you want to ATV ride, if you want to go scuba diving, whatever it is that you think you want to do, try something new. Life is short. Do not sit there and limit yourself thinking that this is where you are. This is what I
Yeah.
have to do. There's no change. No, come on, people.
Yeah.
We are waiting for you. We
Yeah.
welcome you. Come out and join us. Even if it's something, we did a snow tubing event in January. That's as easy as it comes. You're
Yeah.
just snow tubing. So find a group, a healthy group, that is enjoying life, and enjoy it with them.
Good, good, good. And my final question that I ask everyone before we tell people where to find you is, growing up, both of us grew up, what, PAW,
Yes,
Pentecostal.
we did. Absolutely. 100%. I own it. I own it. I
Right,
am
right.
PW. Yes.
And one thing that, we used to sing was like, "You can't make me doubt him." Remember that? "You can't make me doubt
Yes.
him."
I know too much about him. Yes, 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 yes. Of
So
course.
what is one thing that nobody can make you doubt? It can be about your adventures. It can be about God. It can be about life. What is one thing nobody can make you doubt?
It would really have to be God. I mean, that's it. Like, no one can make me doubt who God is.
Mm.
No one can make me doubt what he has done.
Mhm.
No one can make me doubt the power and the grandeur of his magnificence, because I see it all the time. You
Right.
can't make me believe that man created the things that I see every month. There's no way. It's not even possible. You can't entertain me with a false lie. Not going to happen.
Mhm.
I am pretty assured, if I had any questions about God in the four walls of growing up in the PAW, I have zero questions now, seeing him on the mountaintops and the valleys and the treetops and
Yeah.
all, no doubt whatsoever, because I see him and I envelop him. I am a part of what he has created. I enjoy the breath that I have based on the things that I do.
So where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere. Go to the mountaintop. I'll meet you there tomorrow. You can find us on Instagram. We are Adventurous Ty. So it's ADVENTURESSTY. It's kind of like across my head. Of course, we're on Facebook, Adventurous Ty on Facebook. Same thing, Adventurous Ty on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel with about 25 videos. So definitely check us out. People, we do these things monthly. We are here in California. And I have a couple of partners. We'll take videos and photos of you. We'll get to meet you, get to know you. We love what we do. If you want to try something out that's different, new, where you can connect with people, definitely, we welcome everyone to join. So come on out.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Ty, for this conversation. We got so much from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I cannot wait for Miss Tifani to come out on an adventure too.
Look, I'm coming.
I know.
I'm coming.
I
Yeah.
know. I believe you. I
Actually,
believe
for next year, we have big plans for next year.
we
So
have big plans for next year. Yes,
we'll
we
keep you
do.
posted. All
All
right.
right.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this conversation. I knew that it was going to be a good one. Ty has me so inspired and so motivated to go out and just try something new. So thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week for our next How To's with Tifani. And as I say every time, really start to see God everywhere and start by seeing him in you. All right. Have a wonderful night.